Hello, Stephen Hawking here. The following Filmageddon podcast has a lot, and I mean a fucking shitload of spoilers. If you haven't seen the new Star Wars film The Last Jedi, don't listen to this, but please listen afterwards. This is my favorite podcast. I love the Irish one. The American one threatened me once at Sports Bar in New York State. The one with glasses owes me money. Where is Luke? Anyway, The Last Jedi spoiler party is now in session.
Hello, and welcome. It was a very energetic hello, and welcome, of course, to the Filmageddon podcast. Forget how to do one of these. It's been a while. It feels like it's a couple of years now, but we are back for a special little podcast here towards the end of the year. With me, of course, the old Quizzle master, Frank Izzle, Sildizzle. And my other Izzles on the sizzle, Blizzle and Addles.
Addles does not sound like good. It sounds like a German officer.
No.
It sounds like a characters in Dodgeball.
Adam and Blair have joined me. Are they next to me? Are they not? Nobody knows. But how you doing, guys?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. It's been fine. What a week. How about you, Blair?
Yeah, I've been good. Been pretty good. Long absence, but back, nose to the grindstone. The grindstone cowboy. You know how it goes.
That's
Drugs.
The grindstone cowboy.
Nose,
yes, very good.
Nose to the drugstore cowboy. Anyway,
why have we come back to all talk to each other? Because a big film has recently come out, and we all went and saw it last night, didn't we?
We did.
oh yes.
And it is Paddington 2.
An electric boogle, whatever.
Yeah. So what did everybody think of Hugh Grant's performance as the villain in Paddington 2?
I thought it was quite unconventional the way that they basically made another version of Paddington, but like a little bit darker. He was like a polar bear, but he was like, quite dark. Much like the Black Panther trailer that I saw. It's just like, we've got the hero. Let's just do a carbon copy. But I thought the scene where he was snuffing all the cocaine from the enclosure was just.
Yeah, it was a bit much, and the whole reliance on the marmalade as a plot device. I'm not really keen on it, but there we go. So hopefully we'll see what happens come Paddington 3.
Yep.
Yes.
But let's get on to the real subject at hand, because of course the film we're talking about is Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and. We all went and saw it last night at midnight shows around the country.
Yeah.
We were all within miles of each other. Some of us saw it together. Some of us decided not to see it with their buddies. But that's neither here nor there. We're not pointing any fingers.
It was Adam.
It was Adam.
I went with my buddy, but it's my girlfriend as well. So,
It's a different kind of buddy.
It's a different kind of buddy. It's bosom buddies.
It is.
Kissing buddies. Snow buddies.
Ooh.
Snow buddies, like the film, because it's Christmas.
Snow buddies. That's a good one.
Snow buddies listening is also the.
Hi-oh.
Snope, buddy. Snope. That ties it in.
He's brought it back to the Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. I guess initial thoughts. I don't know. How do you start a conversation like this? Everybody's going to be talking about this, so we have to do it in our own special way.
Okay, we can use that language that we made up.
Yeah.
Guitar. Yeah.
Bonjour.
That's French.
No, it's not. I've been to France. I don't know. I think we could kind of like talk about what I think the best thing we could do is start off with the positives. Or did you enjoy it overall? Did you enjoy it overall, Frank? What's the resonating? It's a different feeling between watching it at midnight, going to bed 3 o'clock, whatever, 4 o'clock, getting up, and the next morning being like digested it. What's your initial thoughts on it?
I think I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think I need to watch it again, as always with these things, because it could be that thing of my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes. It's interesting because it's quite a long film, and I think at first I was finding it hard to get into, but then there was a certain point in the film when it just all started working for me, and then I was in for the ride for the last sort of 2 hours of it, and I came out of it like, yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think when I watch it again, it depends. I might get more enjoyment out of it, or I might start to see some of the flaws in it that people such as young Blair here has seen.
Yeah, I think I've changed. Like my opinion's changed on it a bit. For half a day. Like whenever I came out, the first 20 minutes of it, I thought it was fucking awful. Like I thought it was really bad. There was like something really off with the tone and the way fucking what do you call it? Oscar Isaac was like the weird humor that was used. It was like, Marvel humor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that really. So I think because it set off on that foot, that was like a taste that I couldn't get out of my mouth, and it sort of soured the bits that were actually really good. So I think now looking back on it, in retrospect, rather than seeing it from the start, it was a lot better than I initially thought. But I think it was just it was good, but I think they made a lot of weird missteps that made it harder to just come out and say it was good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what did you think?
I'm with you on that one. I mean, there was a lot of missteps with it. When I first came out of the cinema, I was kind of buzzing about it. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, yeah, right. Oh, remember this bit, remember that bit. But then I kind of think back when I woke up and I was like, I don't know, there were certain scenes which just really bothered me about how they treated characters, how stuff didn't lead anywhere, how certain characters would do things, and you're like, oh, that doesn't really make much sense. I liked it. I did really like it. But like you say, there were some missteps. And Disney tightly controlled these kind of films. I don't see how there is room for these missteps. I really enjoyed a lot of it. I enjoyed Kylo Ren and everything like that, but there were certain bits with, an old woman flying through space that just kind of really tipped it over the edge for me.
Yeah. I think if I watch it again, I'll enjoy it more, because I think it's the whole thing of going to it at a midnight screening, the anticipation of it all, and whenever it isn't sort of what you expect, it's harder to look at it objectively or whatever, or something.
I think it also it depends as well on the circumstances of a viewing. I mean, like a midnight, obviously, yeah, like you're saying, with a midnight view, you've got a lot of anticipation because you're there at midnight. It's like during the week, people have to go to work the next day. Like you're physically going to drain your body to see this film. You're not only investing your money and time, but your well-being for the next day. And so when true. Everything's not 100% as you thought, or because there's a lot of hype coming into it, the best Star Wars since Empire Strikes Back, and it's you go into it oh my God, this thing's going to be amazing from start to finish. And then the group that we went with last night, we had a couple bevies we had some time to kill, a couple hours. So I think that just it puts lenses on everybody. People get different lenses. I get a rose tinted lens. I feel like Blair, you get a shit tinted lens. I have them anyway. Another one of our friends' case, he just got up and left 40 minutes in, and I honestly just couldn't believe it. And Luke was just there, sort of laughing about as well.
I wouldn't have left because it could have been absolutely terrible, and I would still watch it. But I think you make a really good point about the fact that it is a midnight screening, and that definitely played on my mind more than I realized, because it was sort of fuck, I'm gonna have to get an Uber home, only gonna get 3 hours sleep, and then I gotta go to, so it needs to blow my mind, otherwise it's not worth it. So I think if they just released it on midday and I didn't have to go to work, fuck, I might have loved it. It might have caught me more like as you say, with less shit on my spectacles. But
poo glass,
because I think as well it works in a way that the screening I went to one of the double bills that they did where they showed The Force Awakens beforehand at 9:00, and fuck me, I did not realize how long that film was. So once you're like, I was really tired by the end of The Force Awakens, and it was like, now the moment you've been looking forward to, and like, okay. And I just, something really just inside me, I just despise, and I'm not saying I'd put them to death, but it'd be on the list of people who, I think they've kind of made the mind up to love these films, and it works with Marvel as well, and to the other extent with DC, in that these big kind of Hollywood, the big blockbuster kind of films, a lot of times people go in like, I'm going to hate it. So, it's up to them to try and make me like it. For Marvel and for the whole of Disney, for these films, I feel like people are cheering and oh my God, like, the certificate comes up. Yeah, come on. Yeah. Some guy was like, come on, Star Wars, baby, yeah. And everyone's like, everyone's laughing at him, and I'm like, it's not funny. And then fucking Lucasfilm comes up. Woo! What are you doing? Like, you're actually excited, and fine to be excited, but in their mind, it's great. Oh, brilliant! Oh, absolutely brilliant! Oh, when she flies through space. Oh, honestly, that was a really touching moment for me. When Superwoman.
That was fucking dreadful. The fucking galactic granny fucking exercising.
Should probably just go ahead and say a spoiler podcast as well at this point. Now that
I'll put an alarm up at the start.
Yeah, I'm sure the people that are listening to this probably have gone and seen it already anyway.
And we haven't spoiled anything yet. I mean, I will spoil it in saying that Leia flies, like, her fucking force spirit flies through the galaxy, like a fucking David Blaine trick, and it was like, if I could have stopped the film, I would have paused it and just like talked to you guys, like, how did this?
What's happening?
It's fucking dreadful.
That it kind of took me out of it a bit. I mean, there's a whole thing with like, we've all of us, everyone I fucking know or still hang around with, who hasn't, who didn't bully me in school. All of them watched Star Wars.
If I had the opportunity, I would have had him.
I'm sure you would have. I would. We all kind of grew up watching Star Wars and being involved in that. And you think about like when we were young before Episode 1 came out, it was the furthest. Each year would be the furthest it was away from the original trilogy. So, I'd spend ages like, and I'm sure we mentioned on the podcast before, but like I'd go into the library in school and every week would rent out the Star Wars encyclopedia. And there was only 1 week, I think, that someone else had got it, and it was Luke. So, not Skywalker. Just say it all. But like we were so we were so involved with like reading about the backstory and like what other powers that the Jedi might have had that wasn't explored on screen. Oh my God, like you can make anything up really, but we'll set the rules and then we can abide by the rules. And I got so pumped about that, and I do not remember at one point when it was like, oh, when a Jedi is in space, one that's not trained at all, by the way, they can not freeze to death, which they would, and they can fly through space to a doorway, and then they're fine again. And I'm like, this woman is dead. Why do you continue to like tease you? And I think that one of the issues with the film, it was a lot of that was like, oh, by the way, Luke's dead. And you're like, oh no. It's like, haha, got ya. He's alive. And you're like, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, all right. It's like Finn died. Oh man. Oh damn. That's suicide. Oh no, wait, he's alive, and you're like, okay, you got me. Good one.
What did you think of the actual like things that you were anticipating, like being revealed? Like, were you satisfied? Like with Kylo? Like, what was he gonna do? What was
Kylo?
Rey, like who's Rey's parents? All those sort of questions. Do you think they were adequately answered, or what do you think?
I don't. I mean, it's one of those weird things because, like, I think out of all the films, like the main ones at least, this one is going to have issues. It's funny because, like, you know, on Rotten Tomatoes right now, it's like 94%, and IMDb, it's like a 9 point whatever, and all these positive reviews. But I do genuinely see it just being a really polarizing film because out of them all, and they make a point of saying this in some of the reviews, it's just like it tries to do things that none of the other films have done. Like, obviously, The Force Awakens got a lot of flack because people thought it stayed too close to A New Hope. They was, okay, it's just cookie cutter. It's the same film as A New Hope. And then this film comes along and does things basically completely like 180 to anything that other Star Wars films have done for the most part. For a lot of these big parts that we've brought up now and some other big parts, and those same people that were probably like, oh yeah, Force Awakens was all right, but it's just basically the same movie, are now gonna say, oh yeah, Last Jedi, yeah, it's a bit too, you know, it's too different, right? It's like the same, like, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, but it's like the opposite of that, where people. It's for me to say, it's just because I'm such a super fan. I'll easily just, you know, it's admitted. So I will always, in this case, be the devil's advocate. But it's funny to see people so excited about something beforehand, before seeing a film, like, oh, I'm pumped for this, pumped for that, and then right after it, like when the same comments were made about the last film, that it did one thing wrong, and then, you know, everyone was excited, then they complained about it. This film does things differently, everybody's excited, and now people are complaining about it. So it's always it's a bit interesting how some film goers, I guess, come to terms with the films. Like some of the things, obviously, you can see they're setting up for the third film because it's a trilogy that they have to close out. Some of the weird answers that they, you know, either gave us or didn't give us, like they revealed who Rey's parents were, but is that actually the truth? Probably not. I don't know. It's kind of hard to see them just be like throwaway characters that we never hear anything else about.
I quite like that, where it was just like, you know, your parents were just, you know, lived on a scrap heap. Oh, all right. But I've still got the, you know, the Jedi powers though, haven't I? Yeah, so crack on.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is these films, like the 9 films, are the Skywalker story. So what's the point of having basically your main protagonist not be related to those characters in any way? That should be one of the spin-off things. Like, if in some way we don't find out in the next film that she's related to either Luke or Leia or
maybe Finn's related to Luke.
Well, it could be. You never know. But so I don't know. I like that. I was a bit disappointed with. Space Mary Poppins, Dead Granny. Like, it did, you know, that was in that early part of the film where I was still pretty unsure, and that didn't do much to, like, make me more sure of it. By that point, when that happened, I was a bit like, okay, this needs to sort of start going in some different ways. But then it did. Like, the stuff with Snoke, I thought was really awesome. You know, how he went out was interesting, but who knows if he's actually gone, right?
It was expected to, like, Snoke would be like this massive force, you know, but it didn't really, you know, answer who he was, did it?
No, that's one of the complaints I'm seeing as well. Is just like, you know, they built up this guy, and then even in that film you could see he's got like this crazy power. I think in the first film he like choked some guy from across the galaxy, and in this film he's like flinging Rey around, and then he just gets sort of taken out by a little side thing without us ever learning anything about him. But it's
Megamind.
Yes. What?
There we go. Figured it out. That's what Megamind does, isn't it? And he has the big head. There you go. All right.
Why are we? What? I don't know.
I'm I'm with you on that, Frank. I mean, I think the whole thing about, like, you know, Rey's parents being revealed to be nothing, I kind of like that, and I do like it for one reason, and that is because the whole thing about, oh, but her parents must be something, that was kind of more implied through sort of, you know, people who watch films, people who, you know, talk about the films and everything like that, and it was the audience kind of came to the conclusion, like, it's got to be something, and then to build, so we'll go with this thing of the audience had built this thing up in a previous film, and then the reveal is the twist. It's no one, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess the power could go into anybody or whatever. Anyone can connect with it. Cool. That's a nice little message to set up for the third film where the resistance builds. Cool, great. And then when it's like Snoke, I don't mind Snoke's death. I don't mind the idea of, like, he can see in his mind Kylo Ren is twisting the lightsaber and he's going to stab the person he wants to. Oh, on sly. Oh, no, you got me, whatever. I don't mind that. Kind of fun. But the problem is that who the fuck was Snoke? Why did he contact Kylo Ren? How did he know who Kylo Ren was, where he was based? Why did he go with him? How did he speak with him first? How did he organize? Who are the Knights of Ren? Because it's still at this point, I'm like, are they the fellas dressed like fucking the Red Ranger in the Power Ranger movie, stood around him? What, why? And instead of being like, but the twist is, it doesn't matter. It's like, no, it does. It really does. And I don't want to have to spend, again, growing up reading those fucking encyclopedia shit, I don't have to spend the next fucking 10 years reading shit on Wikipedia about, like, some people believe that Snoke was actually a dog in a projection. And you're like, no. The whole thing about, like, ha ha ha, wouldn't it have been funny if it was revealed that Jar Jar Binks was Snoke? Do you know, at this point it would have been better. I don't mind him getting killed. That's fine. It's like, oh, he kills his master to take over. That's what all Sith do. But don't fucking kill him and not give me anything extra, because I don't care. Okay, a fellow who looks like Richard O'Brien in a fucking Ric Flair robe got killed. I don't give a shit.
I mean, there's, you know, it's obviously, I guess, not a popular opinion to say, hey, there's still a third film and hopefully we learn some more. Like, I am with you. Like, not knowing anything about that character seems like a criminal offense, really, because they set him up to be this really cool sort of presence in the first film. You're like, wait, is he fucking 30 feet tall? Is he like 6 inches tall? What's going on?
Yeah.
And then, like, I thought, you know, his whole presence in this film was great. Like, I loved his sort of outlandish garb and, like, that room he was in with all his guards and his powers that he was showing off. And then to just kill him, it's like, what? Why are you doing this? I'd like to know more, please. Please fill me in. So I'm just hoping that there is a sort of twist involved, whether it's, you know, at the beginning or the end of the third film, and we find something else out. Because, I mean, if anything, what the second film showed us, what The Last Jedi showed us, is that there's a lot of shit that people with the Force can do that we didn't know they could do before. I mean, flying grannies aside, the bit with Luke at the end was a new sort of twist on things. So there could be something else at play, and there's still always that fun little theory about the Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Oh God, this old hat.
Hey?
but this old hat, like, again.
But what would be so bad if that was it? Is it just the fact that the internet wants that to be it that annoys you, or is it just, what, does it seem lazy to you? What's the problem?
I feel like to make a callback to a film.
It's not a call. Okay, go ahead.
It'll be because it has not been referenced whatsoever in this one. So the last time it got mentioned was episode 3.
Yes.
To go back that far and reference that and be like, I think that will. They've not planted any seeds in this newest one to kind of explain that. At least it kind of built it up in the third one, which episode 3 was a prequel to episode 4. So you already, you know, that's kind of explaining something that's gonna happen, and you know that. But then there was an explanation there. I feel like, listen, I won't be bothered if it is Darth Plagueis. I'll be like, cool man, and maybe his whole thing about killing him was a trick as well. I am cool with that. And yeah, like you say, you've got to wait for the third one to then, I guess, be able to fully look back and kind of critique it. But I just thought, for me, a lot of it, stuff was happening to characters, and I was like, cool, they'll learn from that. And I was like, at the end of the film, I was like, what did they learn? You know, the whole thing with the casino planet, which I quite liked the casino bit, and where the arms traders and stuff, and the idea that, like, the whole dark and light balance is kind of exemplified in the casino, because it's like, look, these people are benefiting from the bad and the good people fighting. You know, there's a balance there or whatever, and maybe Finn can learn from that. That didn't feed into anything Finn was doing. He just wanted to beat up fucking Captain Phasma again. I just feel like those things were happening to characters. No one was learning anything, and maybe it will pay off in the third, though. So maybe it will. I'm hoping so.
I mean,
this is the thing. Like with what. From what you were saying, Frank, about like it sits on a line here where it does depend on what happens in the third one, because it could be this as a standalone film, like it sort of, I think this is the whole like superhero film sort of vibe I got from it as well, because if Snoke is just dead and that's it, that is a very like, that's sort of like the way Marvel and DC do, like, oh, here's just a big bad guy and they have to beat him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's just a big bad. Why is he sits on his own in space? Oh, is that why he's bad? And he sort of grips the arm of his throne whenever the good guys do, you know, something that he doesn't like. So if it does end up like that, then I would sort of confirm my suspicions. But you do raise a good point, Frank, about like maybe they are setting like little, not traps, but like setting little, you know, bits, so that whenever you watch the third one, you can look back and go, oh, they got us, you know.
But that would, I mean, and this is where I sort of turn into a bit of like negative on the whole thing, is if it is that, you know, as much as I want it to be that, so that it all, you know, I want there to be payoff, right? I want that third film to be the payoff from everything that's happened in, well, all of the new ones at least. But if it is, then it's also a bit of a negative, because then this whole second film is just set up where I think you could look at the original trilogy, and even though there was a storyline that carried on from 1 to 2 to 3, none of those films felt like a setup movie. Like, yes, the Empire Strikes Back ended on a cliffhanger, but you didn't feel you could sit down and watch that film from start to finish and just watch that one and feel fine. You don't want to have to say, all right, I'm going to watch The Last Jedi, but, I mean, the only point to watching The Last Jedi is to get prepared to watch the other one, whatever the third one would be. So in that sense, I guess it didn't, as much as I enjoyed it, and maybe it'll change upon the second viewing, it does feel like just a setup movie, a lot of it, because all these things, like you were saying, Adam, characters don't learn anything. Maybe they will in the third one. Hey, is Snoke really dead? We'll find out in the third one. Are they really Rey's parents? Maybe we'll find out in the third one. Like, you want to come out of a film with some answers, and the only answers we really got in The Last Jedi was, we know that Luke is dead now, he's a Force ghost guy now.
This is the thing. It actually raises questions about Luke as well, because his whole, like, the fact that he, you know, was gonna, or contemplated killing Kylo, or Bob, or whatever his fucking name is.
Bob.
His real name is. Yeah, I forgot his fucking his real name. His name before Kylo. The fact that he even Ben. Yeah. The fact that he contemplated doing that is very out of sorts for Luke, isn't it?
Well, is it though? Because he was never. I mean, he was trained by Yoda, but it was like literally over a couple of days. And I guess the whole point of when he starts training to become a Jedi, he wasn't really like, he didn't have to go through what Anakin had to go through. You know, the formal training of anything. He didn't. You know, he was basically trained by one little goblin man in a fucking forest, and it's like
for about week.
For a week, and he's like, and now you're a Jedi. So I think the great thing about Luke as a character is that he's never been, especially when he turns up in, is it Return of the Jedi, when he's trying to get in to see Jabba, and he's like dressed all in black, and he's fucking force choking and stuff, and it's like, or he's like, he's kind of, he has that darkness inside him, and that's fucking awesome. So I kind of, I don't need him, I want him to be a feeble kind of character, and he's open to making mistakes. And I guess the point of all the prequels was that, like, look at where the Jedi got to when they tried to, be completely pure, I guess. And then what happened to them and what the after effects, or what that caused, I guess. But, him trying to kill him and then he, like, stops himself, I thought that was well within the character. And I did love, the fucking thing is shot so well. Like, the recons where he's, like, stood over Kylo Ren, his face is like fucking demon's face. I was like, I was buzzing so hard.
Yeah, I loved all the, like, the little subtle, like, de-aging as well in that scene of both the characters. I was like, oh wow, it just looked cool. You're like, oh, did they film that like 10, 15 years ago or something? And it was just cool to see, like, a couple different looks of Luke as well. Because obviously it's a character we've not had for so long, and then, we see him at the end of the last film for about 2 minutes. He shows up looking like that, and then he's all, like, dressed in dark, and you're like, oh, what's up with this guy? And then when he shows up at the end, and he was a badass, fucking, what do they call those things? Mirage.
Like Tupac?
Yes. But yeah, there was definitely, we focused a lot on the sort of bad or middling stuff, but what about the good stuff? What stuff did you guys, like, really enjoy?
I really liked the Kylo Ren's like storyline. I thought that was probably the part of the story that I liked the most. But apart from that, the fucking wicked like battle scene, the Battle of Crack or whatever the place was called, with where that was such a cool, like, where obviously you see it in the trailers and stuff, but where it goes red, that was so badass.
Yeah, that was good.
But that might be one of my favorite battle scenes in a Star Wars film. I really liked it, and I think, that's probably the most positive part for me.
Did you think they were going to kill Finn off at that part? Because I sort of thought they were, and I was ready for that. I was ready for it to happen.
Yeah,
I think he probably should have, because it's like, it would give the kind of character some meaning. I guess, he always wanted freedom. Well, he wanted freedom from. That's the weird thing. After watching The Force Awakens just beforehand, it's very quick. He's just like, all right, I'm out now. And I was like, well, okay, I guess, the history, or it's the implied history that he has always wanted it and whatever. And he got to his first battle and was like, oh, I ain't doing this. So I kind of like that. And I think it would have been nice if he'd ended it with, like, do you know what? The biggest fuck you is, like, destroying you or whatever. I don't know. I kind of like that. Because otherwise it's like, well, what's Finn's going to do in the next one? It's going to involve another battle with Captain. At this point, Captain Phasma is, again, just one of those things where it's like, they built up. Yeah. And in the first film, she was a bit shit. And I don't mind that at all, because we built it up in our minds, because the character design's fucking well cool. And then the second one, again, I was like, oh, you're just some fucking idiot who just keeps getting pwned by some fella in a jacket. And
she's dead now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know anymore. No, I don't know. At this point, she might just fucking. The film will have ended, and then the after the credit sequence is her just hovering up, like held up by Jabba Jr. or something. I don't know.
But so which bits from the film really stood out for you, Adam?
I quite enjoyed sort of the last battle, like you said, Blair. As bad as that horse riding shit was, I really enjoyed the casino bit. I love seeing that part of Star Wars, like, away from the battles, the kind of where life is continuing for people, and I really really liked that bit, and I do think that's interesting to a little setup for, like, the Republic or whatever they're called, the rebels. Building of that, in the plebs and stuff. So I really like that. But yeah, Kylo Ren was like, it was fucking, his stuff was fucking wicked, and I never got tired of seeing Luke Skywalker on screen, and Yoda turning up. So glad it was the old looking little thing, the puppet. yeah, those parts, Kylo Ren was just wicked. His whole story is. I mean, I do feel I'm like, well, where's this going now? Because after he's killed Snoke, I'm like, well, what's the point? He wants to kill his mum? Is that it? Or he wants to kill Rey? Or he wants Rey to be his mate or something? I don't know. I feel a bit weird with him now going into the third act of his character, but the first fucking 2 acts of his character over The Force Awakens and Last Jedi are fucking, I don't know, I wouldn't say flawless, but it's fucking close. He's so good, and he just carries the film.
It's funny that you say that, because that's one of the biggest switches, because in Force Awakens, I was sort of annoyed by Kylo. Do you know, it was sort of like, Jesus, get over it. You know, it's probably because Adam Driver, that's a testament to his acting, but it's just the face on him. I just want to smack him. He's just so annoying looking. Do you know what I mean? He looks like he wears like loads of bracelets and all that. Like he's, yeah. But the fact that he went from like one of my, like I did obviously care about his story, but I wasn't expecting to be like, oh fuck, this is the part that I like the most from The Last Jedi. I was surprised at that turn.
What about you, Frank? What kind of moments stood out for you in a positive way?
It's mirroring a lot of what you guys said. I mean, I thought like the moment that just got me was when Yoda popped up again, and it was, as you said, like the puppet and all that. And I was like, because you just expect, we've got the CG, and we're doing that quite well by the end of episode 3. But to just sort of see that, I think they'd actually just either recreated or used one of the old puppets and maybe just did some like CGI enhancements to it. But when he popped up in that little conversation, I needed to be sort of mopped up at that time. The last battle was cool. I quite liked, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Benicio del Toro's character. Like, yes, I know he had like sort of an annoying little character trait that I'm sure people will dislike, but the fact that he sort of made it out to fight another day, as it were, I'd like to see where that goes. Like, I'm hoping he pops up again. And just Kylo. What's going to happen to young Kylo? I mean,
he's the hero of the story, right? If he's the only Skywalker left, then he is the hero. So I'm rooting for him.
I mean, that's going to be what is probably going to happen in the third one, is he sort of becomes the hero somehow. I mean, it's a shame that, Carrie Fisher's gone, because, from everything that I think people have heard, the idea was, hey, the first one's Harrison Ford's film, the second one's Mark Hamill's, and the third one's going to be Carrie Fisher's. And now they basically just have to say, well, okay, during the opening crawl of the third one, Leia went on a long trip, and the Force is with her, but the Resistance must fight on without her, as she's like in exile now or something. And it's going to be like, I know they're saying they don't want to do anything with CG to bring her back or anything, but I think they should. And they're saying she's going to be felt. Her presence will be felt in the third one, but
yeah.
I don't know. They need to do it a smart way, because Kylo especially, there needs to be that confrontation with her, because obviously in this one he had a chance to take her out and didn't. Like, that's still one of the few things keeping him hanging on to the good side of him, and she's got to be there somehow. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I saw like something on Reddit where like on this like a post movie discussion, and someone was like, that's fine that they probably didn't want to change the story or whatever, but to bring Laura Dern's character into it, who I was like, all right, cool, they brought her in to take over from Carrie Fisher, and then for her to be the one to kill herself, it's like, well, that kind of, wouldn't it have been the biggest fuck you? To have, I know it probably was like, all right, well, she's dead. Fuck, we've already committed to this part of the film. Surely they could have rejigged some footage or whatever and just had it where it's Carrie Fisher being the one to go on that suicide mission. She's finally gonna. She wants to say, she's putting herself in front of everyone. She's just like, I've lost my son. I've lost Han. I've really got nothing else, to kind of live for or whatever. Luke's still gone or whatever. It would have been nice if she was the one to, go on that fucking lightspeed mission, which was a fucking cool shot. The whole silence of that dreadnought.
Oh, that was
space.
great.
That was cool. Yeah, that was really, really cool.
It's like all that like weird light escaping, like when it sliced through. I was like, what?
But like now we've got like, okay, so her replacement just offed herself, and then she's dead in real life. So you're like, are they then going to try and bring in, now I'm the other leader, or does that fall kind of back to Poe? And I thought Poe's story, even though like at the start I didn't like you said, Blair, I didn't like it starting off with that kind of humor. But I thought Poe's story, in regards to things happening to him and him learning from it, I thought he was handled so well.
Yeah, I think Poe's not had a lot of time to do much. Like, he's just sort of there to cause a ruckus sometimes. So, like, I really just want to see all those new characters together again for sort of a whole film, like working out some plan. And I mean, because it seems like it's funny, like, the end of the first film, oh, we've destroyed their massive base, like, yeah, screw them, this is it, we're gonna win. And then the second film, it's like, well, they still have a shitload of stuff, and you guys seem like you're down to your last fucking 4 ships. And then they're literally like 20 people in a cave or on the Millennium Falcon at the end, and it's just like, how are they gonna win?
Exactly, how are they gonna win? Well,
yeah,
there's little snow foxes.
Yeah, those guys were
gonna guide them.
creeping about.
It was strange.
Yeah, that was
like,
pretty weird.
You could tell like those and the what do you call them? The little like furry Chewbacca shits. What do you call them? I've forgotten their names.
The Porgs.
Porg.
Yeah, they were a bit cynical, maybe. Do you think?
Yeah.
Because
the Porgs were basically shoved down our throats.
Yeah, they're like the little minions that like 9-year-olds are gonna get for Christmas or whatever. But
that's all it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just cynical marketing. But the way they were so like round and Disney-fied, like in the original Star Wars, that was like, it was weird looking creatures. Do you know what I mean? They're not meant to be like big doughy eyes. They're meant to be they're odd little fuckers. Do you know what I mean? They should have like one leg jumping around and like tentacles and shit. That's what every alien and every other Star Wars looked like. But in this one, it's like, oh, what a coincidence, it's released 10 days before Christmas and this is the most marketable shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there was a weirdly lack of aliens that were, I don't know, maybe I need to watch it again, but like that I could recognize as alien life forms from the Star Wars. I mean, I'm all for the fact that these films take part, away from fucking like stuff like Tatooine and everything. I'm all for that, and there would be different life there. But even in the casino scene, I was like, I know I just made fun of it, but like, where's Jabba? That kind of like, where are those kind of like life forms, and that we can be like, you don't need to introduce Minions, part 5 or whatever they're on now, but like, it's for me to go, oh wow, oh cool, or whatever. Like just have a fucking little alien.
That's what it's leading to. Like before the next movie, they're gonna have a 22-minute Minion short.
A pork short.
That's it. Wow, I bet they do. There'll be a pork short.
You've done it now, Frank. You've ruined it, Frank.
It's all gonna happen.
Or you've just secured yourself a job at Disney. I don't know.
I found myself all right with the porgs. It was those fucking weird nun things that I was just like, what are these?
They look like the baby from Dinosaurs.
Yeah, they did.
They're freaky, man.
Yeah, and the fact that they're like, it sounds weird to say, but the fact that they weren't naked, like the fact that they were wearing like clothes, you just expect.
Do you reckon Luke shagged Eddie when he was on that island?
I mean, I don't want to know what happened on that island in his tree.
He's the only Jedi left. They must have been like, fucking hell, we've got to pick a litter here.
We've got to make more Jedis.
And I'll clean up after them.
What if the porgs are the offspring of Luke and those nun things?
My babies.
Oh man, but yeah. So, I mean, what else is there to say at this point other than It was a film, and we all enjoyed it. It has its issues, and, you know, upon some second and third viewings, maybe we'll come to terms and like it more or like it less. But it's out there. It's different, I think. I think we could all probably agree, maybe, in that it's the most, you know, it takes chances that, you know, none of the other ones had. Like, you know, despite what the prequels have done, they still felt fairly similar to the other films. Yeah. I mean, did you like Rian Johnson as directing, like his style, because he's now going to be producing 3 other films in this saga, I guess?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I think it was shot. It's one of the more beautiful shot Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did like it. I just I liked the way it was shot. I liked his sort of the direction that he was going with, but I felt that sometimes it was like, this looks good, and I was like, yeah, but what happened in that scene? It's like, yeah, it looked good, and you're like, well, I don't care.
For the third one, do you prefer J.J. Abrams back, or would you want Rian Johnson to do it?
Oh, I don't know. Do you know what? I think I'm with you. I'd have to probably see this film again. I have to see in Force Awakens again to really. I don't know. I don't really think actually it matters out of the two of them what happens. I just think that the story needs to be a lot more solid, and I need it to be like George Lucas said originally. Everything is everything comes around again. Everything's a circle. It's a pattern. I just need.
I said that once.
Did you?
Yeah, I was on a load of mushrooms though, but so maybe that's what George Lucas was doing all these years.
He's doing it now, certainly. What else are you going to do?
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck.
I wrote some more fanfic if Disney will pick up the phone. No, George. Okay.
George, go away. You sure you don't want my story treatments for 7 through 9? Nope.
Red Tails 2, please. Anyone.
Those will go down in legend now. Like, one day, those will, like, slip out of the archives, and people will be like, I wish these were the films they made. Oh, man, that would have been so awesome.
Yeah,
like,
no one thinks about like the whole subplot of like not subplot, but that the story in like the extended universe where like a clone is made of Luke's hand called Luke with 2 U's.
Luke.
What about you guys? Like, would you prefer J.J. Abrams to, as he's coming back obviously, but like, or would you prefer Rian Johnson to just keep going?
Yeah, Blair. What do you think?
Probably J.J. Abrams for me, but that might be just because I liked it. I liked The Force Awakens probably more. But I don't know if it's. I can't tell if it's like directorial, issues, or if it's just the actual, the story, or there was some. I just think there's some missteps in The Last Jedi that didn't need to be made, and I thought that Force Awakens was, like, it was wicked. So, cool. J.J. Abrams for me.
JJ. I think it'll be good for this one, for the third one, JJ, because in the first one, I mean, probably with both of them, obviously, like, it's Kathleen Kennedy who's actually the fucking captain telling everybody what to do. And she's been proven to just fire people that won't play ball. So I think JJ had to sort of cope with that and make a film that was very similar to the originals to kickstart it again. But now I think, it was a story that he sort of wrote, so him coming back to actually finish it and to hopefully be let loose a bit more and to take some more chances and do his own thing, hopefully that will result in the best of these sequel trilogy films. So yeah. Bring it on. More lens flare. Let's do it.
Opens with like just Snoke on the ground. He's like, oh, my fucking sides. Oh. And then like someone helps him up and he's like, right, where was I? I don't know why in this version he's
Peter Kay.
Yeah. It's the same makeup and everything, but
you
just like
force.
Dalek sec. No wait, that's garlic bread. I was trying to make a garlic bread joke, but it ended up a Doctor Who.
And on that note, what a perfect way to end it.
Yes.
Because next week we're going to be diving in to the entire mythos of Doctor Who, starting at the very beginning, back in 1967. And no, we're not going to do that. That's a different podcast, a more pathetic podcast, some would say, but also probably a more listened to podcast. But guys, why don't you know our thoughts now, so let us know what you think by you should probably tweet us. Maybe tweeting's a good thing to do, like the social medias, and you can do that at Filmageddon Quiz. Or you could reply to it on Facebook. That's, facebook.com/Filmageddon. Filmageddon Film Quiz or something like that. Adam, you know what it all is. You've got this down by heart. Quiz. Oh, yeah.
I do. Yeah, it's on I wrote it on my chest.
Twitter's at Filmageddon Film Quiz.
No, the Twitter's at Filmageddon Quiz. Man,
we're confusing everybody now.
We need some synergy across this.
It's been a while since we did a podcast.
Yeah, but we're on Twitter. I don't really check Facebook. About to reply to complaints and stuff, but
yeah, and we do get a lot of complaints, so thank you for everybody. So on Twitter, add us, follow us, do that. You can obviously subscribe to this podcast, and you'll get an update once every 2.5 years.
We've been putting up video content recently on our
our
YouTube,
and hopefully there's more video content coming soon. It does require me to stay up very late tonight before flying out of the country to edit, but we'll see if that can happen, because it would be a Christmas gift and some would say a miracle if it gets up. But yeah, you can find us on YouTube by just searching for Filmageddon. And besides that, the quizzes are done for the year. We'll be back in 2018. There might be another podcast that slips out before the end of the year as well. You never know. But Adam and Blair, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, in this form of ours. And guys, go watch the film and let us know what you thought. And give Disney more money, because they've got to pay Fox now some money, so they need.
Got another option. If you just send me a couple of quid, I'll just tell you what happens.
Now that sounds like a great idea.
Just I'll be in
there you go.
I'll be in the Stratford area, like 8 to 5 p.m. every weekday. So
this is very dodgy.
Find me.
Sounds like you're gonna have a long coat that you open up, and there's just like handwritten scripts for Star Wars.
This is Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, I'm not gonna do. I'm only joking.
Well, all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Filmageddon podcast, and we will see you next time. And may the Force be with you.